today, but thanks anyway. It's hit and miss to get a signal out here. He shifted position and held up a wallet. Would it make you feel better if I showed you my ID? I glanced at my phone. 2 bars. It would be a crapshoot whether I could hold a signal long enough to call for help. Thunder growled in the distance, and a few drops of rain spattered my face. No way was I walking. My arms were already covered in goosebumps inside my coat. I'd probably freeze to death before I made it to town. Still, I'd rather take a gamble on the cell signal than on the truthfulness of a man crazy enough to stop for a hitchhiker. I'll be fine. I backed one more step toward my car just in case he wouldn't take no for an answer, and I had to hop inside. Not that I could drive away, but at least I could lock the doors. He shrugged. If you insist. Is it all right with you if I call a tow for you when I get back to town, just in case? A little worm of guilt wriggled around in my stomach. He probably was simply a good Samaritan, but I was a criminal attorney, the daughter of 2 criminal attorneys. I knew too much about the evil in the world to risk it. I'd appreciate that. I reached for my door handle, then paused. And thanks again for stopping. He tipped his head, rolled up the window, and drove away. I shivered and slid back into my car. The empty stretch of road suddenly felt a lot emptier. For the next hour, I tried unsuccessfully to reach AAA, or anyone who might be able to call a tow truck for that matter. Just when I was about to admit defeat, dig out a better pair of walking shoes, and brave the cold, a tow truck stopped next to my car. If I ever saw my Good Samaritan again, I probably owed him a thank you and an apology. Fairhaven apparently had 2 options for car repairs, quantum mechanics and Fixident. Since I had no idea how to choose between the 2, I took the tow truck driver's advice and went with quantum mechanics. They were a little pricier, but better at fixing the guts of a car, as the driver put it. If I'd learned anything from my dad, it was that you get what you pay for, and given the sound my car was making, chances were good that post had punctured more than my tire. I handed the signed papers across the counter. The bald man on the other side wore the greasy powder blue jumpsuit that seemed to be the uniform for this place. His name tag read Tony. Tony scooped up the papers and turned away. He smelled more like gasoline than a gas station did. I worked on breathing through my mouth. I'm sensitive to almost every chemical imaginable. A headache was already blossoming behind my eyes, and I didn't need fumes adding to it. Where do I get the keys for my loaner? He turned back from the filing cabinet. We don't have loaners. Most people have a ride, or they just walk home. Guess I'd be walking to my B&B. After the funeral home. I might need to dig better walking shoes out of my bag after all. Could you tell me how to find Kavanaugh Funeral Home? I wondered. The briskness had drained from his voice, and he finally met my gaze instead of glancing nervously around like he'd rather be under a car than dealing with a person. There was a kindness there I hadn't expected. It's off-season for tourists. Who are you here for? It was the longest string of words he'd spoken to me, and a lump formed in my throat. Stan Dawes, my uncle. I'm here to make arrangements. He shifted his weight from foot to foot. We're planning on closing the shop for the funeral so everyone can go. Make sure you put an announcement in the paper once you have the time set. I will. He cleared his throat, and I could tell the touchy-feely part of the conversation was officially over. That was okay with me. If I was going to manage all of this on my own, I had to stay focused on the practical details and not on what I'd lost. I readjusted my laptop bag, which was already cutting into my shoulder. How did you say I get there? He pointed to the right. Go that way when you leave here. His directions contained at least 5 streets named after trees. Directions had never been my strength, and it figured that my GPS system was integrated into my car. I repeated the names over in order as I hauled my large-wheeled suitcase out the door. The town screamed tourist destination. Not